Very sadly, we're a nation in decline. It's election interference at the highest level.
I'm proposing the 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution.
It's wrong that extreme officials are pushing hateful bills targeting transgender children.
Lot going on for you on this Friday. Donald Trump set to be indicted again. According to him, Gavin Newsom, governor of California, introduces a constitutional amendment. Joe Biden takes a hard stance with transitioning kids. Holy cow. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. My name is Jobob. Thanks so much for tuning in. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
That might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the swanky Gaylord Hotel in Dallas, Texas. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in on today. It is Friday, June 9th, the year of our Lord, 2023. Lots of stuff going on today that is just fascinating. Kind of thought it was going to be like an easy Friday. Even considered pre-recording this show of, back at home before we're out and about on the road here. But a lot of stuff happened and just couldn't. Donald Trump, according to sources close to the case, as well as the former president himself, set to be indicted yet again, this time over the Florida case. Well, the case that's happening in Florida. A Miami grand jury and a Washington, D.C. jury has been convening and is said to indict President Trump again on Tuesday of next week regarding the classified documents stuff. Now, to my understanding, at least up until this point, nothing official is out, but people close to the situation, which I'm always a little bit wary of, but I think in this case it makes, it makes sense, are saying 7 different counts of various things regarding the classified documents. Now, I'm going to make the case and probably, it seems like a political indictment again on the former president. Should he have kept the classified material? Probably not. Does it matter? Probably not. And I'm not the only one saying this. Now, I want to play a couple clips. I want to make sure that we are looking to see what the scope of people are saying rather than just diving into the segmented sides here. So in wanting to hear what the scope is saying, I wanted to play this clip from Chris Cuomo's show. Remember Chris Cuomo? Well, he now has a show on News Nation, and he had Matt Taibbi on, Matt Taibbi, let me just lay this out. Chris Cuomo, not a Trump fan. Matt Taibbi wrote a book about Donald Trump, I believe entitled Insane Clown President. I want you to hear what they have to say, rather than just digging into her own side and seeing because everybody went nuts. Levin, probably most notably, went scorched earth on Fox News last night, but that's all to be expected. What is happening on the other side? I want you to watch this clip from Chris Cuomo's show, and we will discuss on the other side and figure out, what are they saying and why are they saying it? Check it out.
So these concerns, everybody loves conspiracies these days. I'm not so sure that these investigations aren't done in a way that winds up intentionally or unintentionally helping the former president, to be honest, because every time there's a swing, it seems to expose the fact that they go after him with what seems to be at or below a level of anything that would be impressive to people reviewing the documents. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I'm obviously not a fan of Donald Trump. I wrote a book about the guy called Insane Clown President. But, my feeling is if you're going to take the very extreme step of indicting somebody who's the likely nominee of the opposition party, the charge has to meet 2 tests. It has to be extremely serious and it has to be an airtight case. And I think both of these cases fail on both of those points.
Yeah. that, again, two people who are not Trump fans, one, just looking at it as objectively speaking, like, hey, every time we go after this guy unfairly, he gets more popular. I think there's a talk show host, I forget where I heard this, but saying that the guy's career, Donald Trump, that is, Donald Trump's career is being unfairly treated by the media at this point. And by the media, I mean media, politics, the Justice Department, all of that. His entire, not his entire brand, but a big component of the Trump thing is now being unfairly treated by everybody who doesn't like him. Now I want to get to this. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted this out. This is Rachel Maddow talking about what the overall overarching plan possibly is. And this is fascinating too. She is on the hyper partisan side of this sort of thing, and you'll hear that in her little clip right here. But I want you to watch this, and we will discuss on the other side. Check this out.
You have to wonder if the Justice Department is considering whether there is some political solution to this criminal problem, whether part of the issue here is not just that Trump has committed crimes, but that Trump has committed crimes and plans on being back in the White House. Do they consider, as part of a potential plea offer, something that would proscribe him from running for office again? I don't know.
Interesting. She's suggesting that maybe the Justice Department is doing this on purpose so that he doesn't run again. Maybe they can enter a plea deal in which the Trump defense says, well, we will gladly not have to go through this trial in order to not become or to not run for president again. Fascinating that that's being said out loud. That would be hyperly immoral and unethical if the Justice Department is specifically indicting so that they could get a plea deal saying this guy can't run for president or won't run for president. Yeah, wow, kind of frightening. But yeah, quiet part getting said out loud. Look, we'll see what happens here if on Tuesday Donald Trump is in fact arrested again. We'll be covering it, but at the same time, this is going to be really interesting to see what it does to the polls in the presidential election and race. I was going to go to the Joe Biden or even the Gavin Newsom thing, but I want to just really quick. Well, now let's go to Joe Biden now, because I think this is important enough to be at the top. We're going to go back to the Trump campaign. DeSantis did something really, really, really weird, and I think DeSantis is driving people out of his camp, which is weird, but we'll talk about that later on. This, I believe, is Joe Biden being the most wrong that Joe Biden has ever been. Joe Biden was at it was a joint press conference with him and Sunak Rishi, who's the Prime Minister of the UK, doing one of those joint press conference things in which he took a couple questions. Now, I think from what it looks like, this question, I wanted to have the reporter in there because this looks like one of those, oh, we planned this out type of things. And that's where I think that this is most important. This isn't like an off-the-cuff thing, Joe Biden kind of spouting whatever. You'll see the person asking the question, well, they ask their question. They're talking about trans kids, which is, again, not a winnable issue for people, especially nowadays. Left, right, center, gay, straight, whatever. Everybody's like, hey, lay off the kids. All of these super liberal European countries are saying, yeah, lay off the kids. Literally, it is not a winning issue. And yet the president, from what it seems like, planned a question with a reporter and then read a response, which is what I believe is the most wrong he's ever been. It's a little bit longer of a clip. I want you to watch this. We'll discuss on the other side. Check it out.
All over the country, Mr. President, Republican-led states are passing laws passing anti-LGBTQ, anti-transgender laws that restrict rights in medical care. Intimidation is on the rise. This week, anti-LGBTQ protesters turned violent in California. And also recently, I spoke to the parents of a transgender girl in Texas who told me that they're afraid and that they're considering leaving not just their state, but the country. Sir, why do you think this is happening? And what do you say to parents like the ones that I spoke to those families who are contemplating leaving the country because they don't feel safe anymore?
First of all, maybe quietly when we finish this, you can give me the number of that family, and I will call them, let them know that the president and this administration has their back, and I mean that. Look, as president, I was proud to end the ban on transgender troops in our military, sign the Respect for Marriage Act, strengthen the civil rights protections for LGBT Americans, and advance LGBT human rights around the globe. But our fight is far, far from over because we have some hysterical and, I would argue, prejudiced people who are engaged in all what you see going on around the country. It's an appeal to fear, and it's an appeal that is totally, thoroughly unjustified and ugly. It's wrong for that a person can be married in the morning in the United States and fired in the afternoon by their employer because they're gay. It's wrong that the violence and hate crimes targeting LGBTQ people is rising. It's wrong that extreme officials are pushing hateful bills targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors. These are our kids. These are our neighbors. It's cruel and it's callous. Not somebody else's kids. They're all our kids.
Yeah, I actually think that is the most wrong the president has ever been. As the last, I'm wearing my Joe Biden t-shirt. A lot of things were said there. The reporter, let's just start with the reporter. I grabbed the notepad from the hotel to take notes because there's, again, so many wrong things. I wanted to make sure we hit all of them. And sometimes when watching these videos, I'll forget things that they said. Anyways, the reporter said there are more laws popping up. The New York Times had this like big spread out map of like various states with the different laws that have been popping up saying, hey, you can't mutilate kids. Please don't do that. And was acting like, look at how many, this is a new thing. The law, look at how many laws. Oh, no, what it had was the New York Times had a back-to-back of like, in 2010, these were the laws banning transgender kids from or whatever year. And now look at how bad it's gotten. Yeah, because it hasn't been a thing. I don't know if you know this, but in 2006, 2010, whatever year you want to date back to before the last like 2 years, nobody had to say, yeah, you can't chop the parts off of a kid and call that a good thing. I hate to make light of the situation, but yeah, we weren't crazy a decade ago. That's why you see all the new laws coming into place, because we weren't insane and didn't need them. It's almost like those, making something illegal that just is only a thing that incredibly stupid people would do. Like you can't, put your hand on a hot stove. Like, yeah, nobody needs that rule until for some reason they do. Nobody needed the rule of, hey, you can't surgically alter the anatomy of your kid because nobody was surgically altering the anatomy of their kid. Starting there. Then Joe Biden says people that are against surgically altering the anatomy of their kid. Now, notice I'm intentionally not saying the gender or the sex of the kid because you can't actually change that. One thing that I thought was fascinating, an argument that I feel like isn't being made enough places, that just it's like a duh thing that was pointed out to me by the pastor at our church was, you know, you can change the appearance of somebody, but at the end of the day, every single cell in your body has either male or female, an X chromosome, two X chromosomes, or an XY chromosome. I was like, oh, shoot, yeah. I don't know why people aren't using that argument more. Yeah, you can change the appearance, but that doesn't make you something. You have bulls and cows in the cattle world. When you cut the balls off a bull, it doesn't become a cow. It becomes a steer. Anyways, but then Joe Biden says, hysterical and unjust, the people that are trying to stop other people from mutilating kids. Again, this is the most wrong I think Joe Biden has ever been. What did I say? Oh, then he said this. It's wrong that you can be married in the morning and then fired in the afternoon from your job for being gay. You can't. That's not a thing that's allowed. I don't know if you know this, but I don't know if it's a part of the Civil Rights Act 1965 or what it is. But gay and lesbian relationships, same-sex relationships, are now a protected class in this country. You can't fire somebody from their job for being gay. It's not legal. So I don't know why he said that a couple times too. It's wrong that you can be married in the morning and fired in the afternoon for being gay. Well, you can't. I guess in theory anything can happen, but man, what a wedding gift that would be, to be fired from your job for being gay. And I say what a wedding gift that would be because the lawsuit that you would have on your hands, you would be able to retire probably. You would make a ton of money. So yeah, I don't know why he says that. Then he says anybody who is talking about not allowing kids to alter their physicality is extreme and hateful. That is literally the opposite of this issue. This is not a winning issue for Democrats. I kind of, in some way, hope that more, not hope, from a political standpoint, it would be interesting to see a lot more lefties push this sort of thing because it's just not a winning argument. Like, you will not get a majority of Americans even close to that to go along with this. And if more people are pushing this sort of stuff on the Democrat side, the more elections they'd probably lose. So it's not a winning issue. And then the last thing he said that I thought was fascinating was he uses that our kids. These are our kids. No, not accurate. My kids are my kids. Other people's kids are their people's kids. Now, you can seek to pass laws that protect citizens in general, and some citizens happen to be kids who have parents, but I don't get to raise somebody else's kids. That makes sense, Mr. President. I'm not entirely sure. So there's that. Again, I think this is the most wrong Joe Biden has ever been. And it's not a winning issue, but I don't know. We'll see how this pans out. Moving on to another Democrat that is outside of his mind, Gavin Newsom, seeking attention. He's running for president, has not announced, has denied that he's running for president. But Gavin Newsom yesterday put out this video about the 28th Amendment, talking about restrictions on guns. Now, we can scoff and we can go, or we can recognize it for what it is. It is an attempt to get more attention. It's a ploy to garner support for his presidential campaign. That's what he's doing here. He's trying to gain attention and trying to do that by introducing a 28th Amendment that will protect people against gun violence, or so he says. Now, kind of interesting. I'm going to play you a little bit of the video. If you don't think things through, I understand how this video can be compelling. I get it. people get upset at these sorts of issues. But, well, I'm going to watch, we're going to watch this thing. We're not going to watch the entire thing, but he lays out 4 different key points of this. One of which I will say, well, let's watch this really quick and then we'll discuss what he's proposing. But again, he's playing at the emotions of people, trying to make sure that he gets as much attention as he can. Because pretty little Gavin wants attention. Check it out.
Every time it's the same. They tell us we can't stop these massacres. They tell us we have to stand by and watch tragedy after tragedy unfold in our communities. They say we can't stop domestic terrorism without violating the Second Amendment, and that thoughts and prayers are the best we can do. I'm here to say that's a lie. In this country, we do have the power to change things, to reclaim our freedom from fear. Our ability to make a more perfect union is literally written into the Constitution. So today, I'm proposing the 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution to do just that.
Okay, so a lot of things going on there too. He's again playing to people's emotions, calling domestic terrorism. Now, we don't even get into that because I do want to get to what he's talking about. A lot of what he says is an eye roll thing. Let me see. There are the 4 things that he's talking about. Here's one of them: banning assault rifles. I don't need to write that back down. Banning assault rifles. That's the one where, well, there's several of these that are like, if you think about it for a second, okay, what is an assault rifle? I don't know. Well, we don't need to relitigate that. Let's see. Let's move on to a couple of other things that he's saying. I'm trying to scroll through this video without actually. Oh, here we go. Mandatory background checks, federally and nationwide. The background checks things. I understand that one at least. If you have an absurd criminal history of murdering people, I guess, I don't know, and you're on the street for some reason, then I guess in theory you can get a lot of people on that side. There's so many other issues with the difficulty of the actual implementation, though. That's where I think a lot of people get held up on this sort of stuff. Okay, well, how are you going to do that if, I don't know, I sell my neighbor a lawnmower? If the government mandated a mandatory background check, the federal government, who again can't get anything right, mandates a federal background check on selling a lawnmower. How are you gonna do that if I sell it to my next door neighbor for cash? Like, I guess in theory, you could. I don't even know. So the issue with background checks, again, I'm not necessarily opposed to, well, it's just not workable. That's the essence of what I'm getting at. It's how do you do that? The types of people that buy guns from gun stores, which are background checked, you have not in all states, but in California at least specifically, I have to get background checked before I buy firearms in California. Is it a huge issue? Honestly, not really. But also, if I were to buy my gun from a friend, I don't know how you would do that. And if you're going to mandate it and you can't figure out how to do it, does then it become a fact where you can't buy and sell guns from individuals? In which case, I can no longer sell a piece of property that I purchased with my money. It's too convoluted. It's too complicated. And even though the idea can sound good, I understand how the idea sounds good, difficult to be workable. He also says he wants to raise the limit of buying a gun in this 28th Amendment. Number 3, I guess, is raising the age to buying a gun to 21. Here we go. Yeah, raises gun. Look at how good that click was. Raises the age to purchase a gun to 21. Okay, I actually, look, I will give some concessions on when I think that's possible. I think you should raise the age of voting to 21. I think you should raise everything to being the age of 21. How about that? Then I will accept the raising the age of buying a gun to 21. The only other massive problem with this is if people are allowed to, because Gavin in his thing says, if you can't buy a beer, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun. Okay, well, if you can serve in the military at the age of 18, it is weird that you can fire guns then, and then if you were to be out of the military, you would not be allowed to. Those things don't really make sense in terms of, well, if you want to raise the age, that's fine, and you got to raise the age at the military level. And we're already having huge issues getting the military to numbers where they need to be, so doesn't seem workable. But at the same time, like I said, Gavin, if you're willing to raise the voting age to 21, maybe we can have a discussion. And then the last one is waiting limits, I think. What does he say? Here we go. I don't know where the thing is in the video. I don't want to play it because it's actually super long. He has this whole thing of waiting limits. Waiting limits meaning like you have to wait, a couple days before you receive your gun. This, of the three, that one I think I get more. Again, I don't know if that would help anything. Like at the end of the day, you have to ask, will any of these help? And the answer is a big fat freaking maybe. But in terms of the least intrusive, the waiting component, I don't know. And maybe this is just because I'm from California. Like it's not a huge deal. It's fine. Okay, you buy a gun, you have to wait a couple days. At least that's what I have to do in California. That one is the least consequential of all of the four. Again, all of this is to say that none of this is actually going to work. None of this is actually going to get through. It is Gavin Newsom trying to get attention, which, I don't know, classic Gavin. Moving on to this about people trying to get attention. This I thought is fascinating, and we'll kind of close out the week with this. DeSantis kind of getting hit with some really interesting. DeSantis' campaign, I think, is making a lot of weird turns. The DeSantis War Room, which I'm not sure what the exact affiliation with the DeSantis campaign is, but the DeSantis campaign they put out this commercial, and I'm thinking of not playing it because it's just a political thing. The premise of it is Donald Trump firing people. When his only purpose, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired. But he never fired Fauci, which, dude, that's a stretch, Ron. He's kind of trying to make the case of, well, Donald Trump used to firing people, but he didn't fire Fauci. That's playing with context there. If you remember, Dr. Fauci, at the time, nobody knew how bad he was. Joe Biden should have fired Dr. Fauci, but Donald Trump, I don't know if it would have helped if he fired Fauci. Fauci should probably go to prison for the things that he did during COVID. But at the time, I don't think anybody knew. And DeSantis is trying to make this big claim of, well, he didn't fire Dr. Fauci. You know how bad that would have looked? Yeah, that would have been pretty rough at the time. Not only that, the Ron DeSantis War Room used AI images of Dr. Fauci and Donald Trump. The top, what is this on your screen? The top left image on this, let me blow this up for you. The top left image, the bottom middle image, and the image on the right bottom are all images that are AI generated. Now, I don't know if they wanted to use this sorts of things as kind of like a meme and a joke, fine. But in the context of the video, let me play a little bit of the video. Watch this. In the context of this video,
Fired. Today I walk in, I hear I'm going to fire him. I'm not firing him. I think he's a wonderful guy.
Should you have fired Fauci?
So a lot of people ask me that question, and I did it right. Because if you do fire him, you're going to have a firestorm on the left again.
Why did you feel unable to fire Fauci?
Personally, you're not allowed to.
Every time he goes on television, there's always a
this right here. So they did it in the context of something serious. Well, they were making a serious claim, even though it was put to jaunty music, lullaby music. They were kind of making, I don't know. If you want to meme it, I get it. If you want to do internet memes and you want to do, haha, look at here's Donald Trump kissing Dr. Fauci, fine. But they put it within the context of a lot of real clips and it didn't feel right. So that's really, really weird. I don't know what they're thinking over there. I think someone's going to have to get fired. I think heads are going to have to roll over this in the DeSantis camp because, yeah, you can't do that and think that that's okay. So, anyways, we won't get to the fires in New York, even though Pete Buttigieg says something hilarious. But that'll do it for us today and for this week. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. Kind of a more downer episode again. I thought, I'm in a weird mood. Things are kind of just downer stuff. Let's see, anything going on? Texas Leadership Summit. That's why I'm here today. Turning Point USA going to be having a lot of fun with a lot of young freedom fighters over the weekend, and then the Young Women's Leadership Summit. If you plan on coming to that in Dallas, you see me around. Would love to say hi. But if you haven't already, give me a follow on any of the social media accounts. Just type in JOBOB. Also, interesting, if you're watching this on my Facebook page, because I know we multi-stream to the Daily Caller pages, to my Facebook page. My Facebook page got demonetized, which is interesting. Not going to really have any much of a deterrence on whether or not we continue to do this show. Well, we're obviously trying to fight it and appeal that sort of thing, but I don't know. We may have to go more to Rumble, so we'll see if that's we'll see. So if you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media accounts. Go to Rumble, find us there, and we'd love to keep in touch. But that'll do it for today and this week. Have a great weekend. I don't know, go have some fun. Turn off the news media for a little while. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We'll see you next week. God bless America.